For 25 years, MacKenzie Bezos stood by her husband's side. She believed in him when he was just another Wall Street analyst with a wild dream about selling books on the internet. She said yes when he wanted to quit his prestigious job and move across the country. She drove the car from New York to Seattle while he typed the business plan. She negotiated Amazon's first shipping contracts. She packed the boxes. She balanced the books. She raised their 4 children while he built his empire. And when that empire made him the richest man in the world, he repaid her loyalty with secret hotel rooms, hidden text messages, and an 8-month affair with a married television anchor he'd been introduced to by that woman's own husband. But this story doesn't end with MacKenzie's tears. It ends with her giving away $26 billion to people who actually needed it. It ends with her being called Saint MacKenzie by the organizations she transformed. It ends with her standing as the most respected, most admired, most beloved figure to emerge from this scandal. And it ends with Jeff Bezos learning a lesson that $38 billion couldn't teach him. Character matters more than money. Loyalty cannot be purchased. And sometimes the woman you betray becomes everything you could never be. So what really happened in January 2019 when the National Enquirer published Jeff Bezos' most intimate messages for the world to see? How did Lauren Sanchez's own brother sell her out for $200,000? What does the Saudi Arabian government have to do with a billionaire's affair? And how did a woman who lost half of everything end up giving away more than she ever received? Today, we expose the whole story. The texts, the blackmail, the international conspiracy, the divorce that shocked the world, and the quiet, dignified woman who turned devastating betrayal into the greatest act of generosity in modern American history. This is the story of Jeff Bezos' $38 billion mistake and the woman who proved that the best revenge is becoming better. To understand what Jeff Bezos destroyed, you first need to understand what MacKenzie helped him build, and it started with a laugh. The year? MacKenzie Tuttle, 22 years old, fresh out of Princeton University, working as a research associate at D.E. Shaw, one of the most prestigious hedge funds on Wall Street. She wasn't there to find a husband. She was there because she was brilliant. Her professor at Princeton, Nobel Prize-winning author Toni Morrison, had called her one of the best students I've ever had in creative writing. MacKenzie Tuttle was supposed to be a novelist. That was her dream. That was her gift. The hedge fund job was temporary, a way to pay the bills while she wrote. Jeff Bezos was a senior vice president at the same firm. His office sat right next to hers. And every single day, through those thin walls, MacKenzie heard something that would change her life. His laugh. Years later, she described it to Vogue magazine. My office was next door to his, and all day long I listened to that fabulous laugh. How could you not fall in love with that laugh? She made the first move, asked him to lunch. He said yes. 3 months later, they were engaged. 6 months after that, married, no prenuptial agreement. Why would there be? Amazon didn't exist yet. Jeff was just a smart guy with a good job and a great laugh. MacKenzie was an aspiring novelist who believed in him. That belief was about to be tested. In 1994, Jeff came to MacKenzie with an idea that most people would have called insane. He wanted to quit his 6-figure Wall Street job to sell books on the internet from their garage. The internet in 1994 was a curiosity. Most Americans had never sent an email. Online shopping didn't exist. Every financial advisor, every family member, every rational person told Jeff Bezos he was making a terrible mistake. MacKenzie didn't hesitate. She quit her job too, packed up their apartment in New York, and in a decision that would become legendary in Silicon Valley, she drove the car from New York to Seattle, nearly 3,000 miles, while Jeff sat in the passenger seat typing the Amazon business plan. She didn't just support his dream, she became part of it. But here's what most people forget. Before she was MacKenzie Bezos, she was MacKenzie Tuttle, a Princeton graduate, a creative writing student so talented that Toni Morrison called her one of the best students I've ever had. MacKenzie Tuttle was supposed to write novels. That was her gift. She had the talent, the education, the mentor. She had everything she needed to build a literary career. Then she met a man with a different dream, a bigger dream, a dream that would require everything she had, and she made a choice. She set aside her manuscripts while Jeff became the face of Amazon. She balanced the company's books at 2 a.m. While his name appeared in business magazines and newspaper profiles, her name appeared nowhere at all. She didn't publish her first novel until 2005, 11 years after she drove that car to Seattle. 11 years of putting someone else's dream first. And when she finally did publish, when The Testing of Luther Albright won an American Book Award, most people didn't even know Jeff Bezos had a wife. What books didn't get written during those years? What stories died so Amazon could live? We'll never know. MacKenzie never complained, never asked for recognition. She just kept working, kept sacrificing, kept putting her husband's dream ahead of her own. Within a year of their wedding, MacKenzie would make the first of many sacrifices, and it would change the world. The garage where Amazon was born sat in Bellevue, Washington. Pot-belly stove for heat, desks made from old doors, and MacKenzie Bezos present for all of it. She helped rename the company. Jeff's original choice was Cadabra, as in abracadabra. A lawyer pointed out it sounded too much like cadaver over the phone. MacKenzie helped brainstorm alternatives. They settled on Amazon, named after the world's largest river, because Jeff wanted to build the world's largest store. In those early days, MacKenzie did whatever needed doing, negotiated Amazon's first freight contracts with shipping companies, became the company's first accountant. During the holiday rush, she packed boxes alongside the handful of employees they could afford, drove packages to the post office herself. For every hour Jeff spent dreaming about the future of e-commerce, MacKenzie spent an hour doing the work that kept the lights on. For every investor meeting he attended, she balanced the books back at the warehouse. For every interview where he explained his grand vision, she negotiated freight contracts with companies who had never heard of the internet. She wasn't the visionary. She was the one who made the vision possible. And then there was the other job, the one that never makes it into business magazines. She raised children. While Jeff flew to meetings and spoke at conferences and became the most famous entrepreneur in America, MacKenzie stayed home with their 4 kids, handled bedtimes and homework and doctor's appointments, became both parents while Jeff built his empire. Every time you read about a successful man who worked around the clock to build his company, ask yourself, who raised his children? Who kept his household running? Who did the invisible labor that allowed him to be absent? In Jeff Bezos' case, the answer was MacKenzie. The years passed, Amazon grew, from books to everything, from a garage startup to the most valuable company on earth. Jeff Bezos went from nobody to the richest man in human history. By 2018, Amazon was worth over $1 trillion. Jeff's personal fortune exceeded $150 billion. They had been married for 25 years. Friends described them as the perfect couple. Jeff publicly credited MacKenzie as his rock. In interviews, he said he had won the lottery with her, called her the whole package. He was lying. Because by 2018, while MacKenzie raised their children, while she lived the life she thought they'd built together, Jeff was already texting another woman, already making plans to meet in secret, already composing the messages that would one day be published for the entire world to read. MacKenzie didn't know. She couldn't have known. But the marriage she believed in was already over. Her husband had already made his choice. He just hadn't been caught yet. The woman who would destroy MacKenzie's marriage was someone she already knew, someone she had socialized with, someone whose husband had introduced her to Jeff. Her name was Lauren Sanchez, and by the spring of 2018, she and Jeff Bezos were exchanging messages that would one day be read by millions. This is who she was, and this is how everything fell apart. Lauren Sanchez was a television news anchor, beautiful, ambitious, well-connected in Hollywood circles, a licensed helicopter pilot who ran her own aerial filming company, and she was married. Lauren's husband, Patrick Whitesell, ranked among the most powerful talent agents in Hollywood, co-CEO of WME, representing everyone from Ben Affleck to Oprah Winfrey. The Whitesells were a power couple. 2 children together? Their marriage appeared solid. Here's the detail that makes this story devastating. Patrick Whitesell personally introduced his wife to Jeff Bezos. The couples socialized together, attended the same parties, vacationed in the same exclusive circles. They trusted each other. Patrick considered Jeff a friend, MacKenzie considered Lauren a friend, and sometime in early 2018, while both marriages appeared happy, while both families raised children, while both wives believed their husbands were faithful, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez began an affair. The professional helicopter rides became secret meetings. The business calls became romantic texts. The casual friendship became a betrayal of 2 marriages at once. For 8 months, Jeff lied to the woman who had built Amazon beside him. For 8 months, Lauren lied to the man who had introduced her to the richest person on earth. MacKenzie had no idea. She stayed home raising their 4 children. Patrick had no idea. He ran his agency, trusting his wife and his so-called friend. But secrets don't stay secret forever. And this one was about to explode in the most public way imaginable, because someone close to Lauren had been watching, someone who saw an opportunity, someone willing to sell out his own sister for $200,000. The text messages between Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez would later become evidence in one of the most bizarre media scandals in modern history. But before they splashed across tabloid pages, they were just words on a screen. Private words, intimate words, words never meant for anyone's eyes. The National Enquirer would eventually claim to have tracked Jeff and Lauren across 5 states and 40,000 miles as they conducted their affair. They had photos, text messages, everything. The messages dated back to at least April 2018. Explicit, romantic, damning. One message reportedly read, "I want to smell you. I want to breathe you in. I want to hold you tight." Another, "I love you alive, girl. I will show you with my body and my lips and my eyes very soon." These weren't flirtatious texts. These were declarations of an ongoing physical affair between 2 married people. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, the father of 4 children, the husband of 25 years, sending love letters to a woman who was not his wife. The logistics stagger the mind. Jeff owned a $65 million private jet. He used it to fly Lauren to secret locations. They met in hotels, private homes, wherever they thought no one would see them. Let me pause here for a moment. I want you to understand the timeline. In May 2018, while Jeff texted Lauren Sanchez that he wanted to breathe her in, MacKenzie was at home, raising their children, believing her marriage was solid, 25 years of trust, shattered by text messages she didn't even know existed. For 8 months, Jeff believed he was being careful. Private jets, secret hotels, encrypted messages, all the precautions money could buy. But he missed one thing. Lauren had shown some of those texts to her brother, Michael Sanchez, a Hollywood talent manager who lived in his sister's shadow and had connections to some very interesting people. Michael looked at those messages and saw something Jeff never intended anyone to see: a payday. The National Enquirer was about to get the story of the decade, and Michael Sanchez was about to sell out his own sister for $200,000. Michael Sanchez was a Hollywood talent manager, represented minor celebrities, had connections to Trump world figures, knew Roger Stone, had appeared alongside Carter Page. Michael lived in the shadow of his more successful sister. He had access to her world, but not her success. What Michael did have was information, and he was willing to sell it. The National Enquirer paid handsomely for dirt on Jeff Bezos, and Michael Sanchez had plenty of dirt to sell. The price? $200,000. For $200,000, Michael Sanchez sold out his own sister, gave the Enquirer the text messages, gave them photos, gave them details of secret meetings, gave them everything they needed to destroy 2 marriages. By fall 2018, both MacKenzie Bezos and Patrick Whitesell had discovered the affair, found out privately, away from the cameras, dealt with it within their families. But the National Enquirer wasn't going to let the story stay private. They had invested too much, paid too much, and they had something even more valuable than money at stake. They had the chance to humiliate the man who owned the Washington Post, the newspaper that had been relentlessly critical of their ally, Donald Trump. On January 9, 2019, Jeff and MacKenzie Bezos released a carefully worded joint statement on Twitter. After a long period of loving exploration and trial separation, they wrote they had decided to divorce. They would remain cherished friends. It was dignified, respectful, exactly the kind of statement you'd expect from 2 mature adults ending a long marriage. Hours later, the National Enquirer dropped the bomb. 11 pages, explicit text messages, intimate photographs, secret meetings documented in excruciating detail. The tabloid didn't just report that Jeff Bezos had cheated on his wife, they published the evidence for the entire world to see. The joint statement was a lie. There was no loving exploration. There was betrayal, and now everyone knew it. Lauren Sanchez was devastated. Her own brother had sold her out. Her most intimate moments traded for tabloid money by someone she trusted. Through her attorney, Lauren released a statement about Michael that left nothing to the imagination. He secretly provided my most personal information to the National Enquirer, a deep and unforgivable betrayal. The siblings haven't spoken since. When Lauren Sanchez married Jeff Bezos in Venice in June 2025, Michael wasn't invited. Neither was their mother. The family was destroyed. Not by the affair, by the brother who exposed it. But the National Enquirer wasn't done with Jeff Bezos. What they did next would turn a celebrity scandal into something much darker. On February 7, 2019, Jeff Bezos did something unexpected. Instead of hiding from the scandal, he went on offense. In a blog post titled, "No Thank You, Mr. Pecker," referring to David Pecker, CEO of AMI, the company that owned the Enquirer, Bezos revealed that the tabloid had threatened to publish additional explicit photos unless he met their demands. The threats were specific. AMI claimed to have images so embarrassing, so compromising, that surely the world's richest man would pay any price to keep them private. Their demands were equally specific. Stop investigating how your texts leaked. Publicly declare our coverage wasn't politically motivated. Do this or we publish everything. This was textbook extortion. Jeff refused. Rather than capitulate to extortion and blackmail, he wrote, "I've decided to publish exactly what they sent me, despite the personal cost and embarrassment they threaten." He published the actual emails from AMI, exposed the threats in detail, made public what they wanted to keep private. If in my position, I can't stand up to this kind of extortion, how many people can? The political dimensions were impossible to ignore. AMI and David Pecker had a documented relationship with Donald Trump. Pecker was a longtime Trump ally, and Bezos owned the Washington Post, the newspaper Trump called fake news almost daily. Was this just a tabloid scoop or political revenge? Jeff's security team found something even stranger. Evidence suggesting his phone may have been hacked months earlier. That a message from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's WhatsApp account might have been the entry point, that the same Saudi government connected to the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi might have obtained Jeff's private messages. The FBI investigated, found no definitive proof. The questions remain unanswered. Let me make sure you understand what just happened. The richest man in the world was being blackmailed, with his own intimate photos, by a tabloid with ties to the President of the United States. And there was evidence suggesting a foreign government might have stolen those photos from his phone. This wasn't just a celebrity scandal anymore. This was blackmail, possible espionage. The world's most powerful man threatened with exposure by forces he couldn't identify and couldn't control. But through all of it, one thing remained constant: Jeff Bezos cheated on his wife. However those texts got out, they existed because he sent them. Whatever conspiracy unfolded, it started with his choice to betray MacKenzie. The blackmail might have been someone else's crime. The affair was entirely his own. The blackmail failed, the Saudi investigation stalled, the headlines moved on to the next scandal. But none of that changed the fundamental fact: Jeff Bezos cheated on his wife of 25 years. The evidence was public. The marriage was over. Now came the question everyone was asking: how much would it cost? Washington State, where the Bezoses lived, is a community property state. Any assets acquired during a marriage are jointly owned by both spouses. In a divorce, those assets split 50-50. Jeff and MacKenzie married in 1993. Amazon launched in 1994. Every single share of Amazon stock, every dollar of profit, every asset the company generated over 25 years, all of it was community property. All of it belonged equally to MacKenzie. There was no prenuptial agreement. They married before Amazon existed. By January 2019, Jeff Bezos was worth approximately $150 billion. Under Washington law, MacKenzie was entitled to half, $75 billion. Maybe more, if she wanted to fight for it. Before we talk about how much money MacKenzie received, let's talk about what she paid. She gave Jeff Bezos her 20s, the years when most people build their own careers, establish their own identities, chase their own dreams. MacKenzie spent those years in a garage, packing boxes and balancing books for a company that might have failed. She gave him her 30s, the years when her Princeton classmates became professors and executives and published authors. MacKenzie spent those years raising children and managing a household while her husband became famous. She gave him her 40s, the years when she finally could have focused on herself. But by then, she was so deep into being Jeff Bezos' wife that the world had forgotten she was Mackenzie Tuttle, the writer Toni Morrison believed in. 25 years, from age 23 to age 48. The entirety of her youth devoted to a partnership she believed was forever. MacKenzie gave Jeff Bezos 25 years of her life. In return, he gave her 8 months of lies. No one would have blamed MacKenzie for taking everything the law allowed. She didn't. On April 4th, 2019, as the divorce finalized, MacKenzie posted a message on Twitter. She announced that she was giving Jeff 75% of their Amazon stock. All of her interests in the Washington Post, all of her interests in Blue Origin, even voting control of the shares she kept. She received approximately 4% of Amazon, about 19.7 million shares. At the time, that stake was worth between $35.6 and $38 billion. By far the largest divorce settlement in human history, but less than half of what she deserved. MacKenzie took the money and said nothing negative about Jeff. No bitter interviews, no tell-all books, no public recriminations. Her only public statement was a single tweet. Grateful for the past as I look forward to what comes next. Grateful for the past. After 25 years of marriage, after building Amazon from nothing, after 4 children, after being betrayed and humiliated in front of the entire world. That's not weakness, that's strength. Most people assumed that was the end of her story. The wronged wife got her settlement. The cheating husband kept his company. Everyone moves on. But MacKenzie Scott wasn't done. What she did next would shock the philanthropy world, transform thousands of organizations, and make her more famous for giving away money than her ex-husband ever was for making it. The betrayed wife was about to become America's most generous billionaire. The first thing MacKenzie did after her divorce, changed her name, dropped Bezos, became MacKenzie Scott, her middle name, taken from her grandfather. A symbolic act, a reclamation. She was no longer defined by the man who betrayed her. She was her own person again. The second thing she did, signed the Giving Pledge. The Giving Pledge, created by Warren Buffett and Bill and Melinda Gates in 2010, is a commitment by the world's wealthiest people to give away the majority of their fortunes. Jeff Bezos, despite being one of the richest men in history, has never signed it. MacKenzie signed within weeks of finalizing her divorce. Her statement was characteristically humble. I have a disproportionate amount of money to share. Then she made a promise. She would keep giving until the safe is empty. She wasn't kidding. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic devastated the global economy. Food banks were overwhelmed, nonprofits struggled to survive. MacKenzie responded with $5.8 billion in donations. In a single year, one of the largest single-year philanthropic distributions by any individual in recorded history. And she was just getting started. By December 2025, MacKenzie Scott had given away $26.3 billion to more than 2,700 organizations in just 6 years. That number bears repeating. $26.3 billion, more than she received in the divorce settlement. She has literally given away more than she got. And here's the remarkable part. Despite giving away $26.3 billion, her net worth has barely declined because Amazon stock has nearly doubled since her divorce. The shares she kept have grown faster than she can give the money away. She's trying to empty her safe, and the safe keeps refilling itself. But it's not just the amount that makes MacKenzie Scott extraordinary. It's how she gives. Traditional philanthropy can be demeaning. Nonprofits apply for grants, write lengthy proposals, meet with program officers, file detailed reports, put the donor's name on buildings. The whole system revolves around the preferences of the rich person, not the needs of the organizations doing the work. MacKenzie Scott rejected all of that. She gives unrestricted funds, no applications required, no lengthy reports demanded. Organizations use the money however they think is best. She doesn't require them to name anything after her, doesn't dictate how the funds should be spent. She identifies organizations doing good work, verifies they're legitimate, and then, without any warning, deposits millions of dollars into their accounts. Many recipients describe getting phone calls out of the blue, telling them they've just received $10 million, or $20 million, or $50 million with no strings attached. The head of United Negro College Fund called her Saint MacKenzie after she donated $560 million to HBCUs in a single round of giving. In total, she's given over $1.35 billion to historically black colleges and universities. Planned Parenthood received $275 million. Food banks across America have received hundreds of millions. LGBTQ+ organizations, racial justice nonprofits, climate groups, affordable housing charities, organizations serving immigrants and refugees. She gives to causes that many billionaires won't touch. She gives to organizations that have been historically overlooked. She gives to the people who need it most. A 3-year study of her philanthropy found that 93% of nonprofit leaders said her grants significantly strengthened their ability to help people. And through it all, MacKenzie Scott has remained almost invisible. She gives no interviews, makes no speeches, doesn't appear at galas, doesn't seek credit, has no foundation with her name on it. Operates with a tiny staff, she simply gives billions of dollars to thousands of organizations, transforming countless lives. Her public statements are rare and brief. When she does speak, it's to deflect attention from herself and toward the people doing the actual work. I want to de-emphasize privileged voices and cede focus to others. People struggling against inequities deserve center stage in stories about change they are creating. Now here's where I need to tell you something important. While MacKenzie was giving away billions, What was Jeff doing? Let me show you the contrast. And I promise you, it's worse than you think. While MacKenzie quietly transformed American philanthropy, Jeff Bezos made very different headlines. In 2021, he stepped down as CEO of Amazon, said he wanted to focus on other interests. His space company, Blue Origin. His newspaper, The Washington Post. His personal life. That personal life now centered on Lauren Sanchez. After both divorces finalized, Jeff and Lauren went public, photographed on yachts, celebrity parties, red carpet fixtures. After years of MacKenzie's quiet discretion, Jeff dated in the spotlight. The contrast was impossible to miss. Jeff bought a $500 million yacht, one of the largest sailing vessels in the world, so big that a historic bridge in the Netherlands had to be dismantled to let it pass through. He purchased a $175 million mansion in Beverly Hills, one of the most expensive home sales in California history. Multiple private jets, homes in Seattle, Washington, D.C., New York, Maui, and Miami. And in May 2023, he proposed to Lauren Sanchez with an enormous engagement ring. The couple announced their engagement publicly, surrounded by the trappings of extraordinary wealth. The wedding itself in June 2025 was a spectacle designed to maximize attention. Location: Venice, Italy. The entire city essentially rented for the occasion. Private water taxis ferrying guests through the canals. Historic palazzos converted into party venues. 3 days of celebrations. Cost: estimated at $50 million. Guest list: 200 celebrities: Oprah Winfrey, Kim Kardashian, Leonardo DiCaprio, Bill Gates, Ivanka Trump, and Jared Kushner. Lauren Sanchez wore 27 different outfits over the 3 days of celebration. 27. Private jets flew in from around the world. Outside, protesters gathered with signs, "If you can rent Venice for your wedding, you can pay more tax." The contrast between the extravagance inside and the anger outside was stark. Social media exploded with comparisons. While Jeff spent $50 million on a wedding, MacKenzie gave away billions to food banks. While Jeff's bride cycled through designer outfit after designer outfit, MacKenzie wrote checks to homeless shelters. While Jeff's guests were ferried through Venetian canals, MacKenzie's donations paid for affordable housing. How awesome is MacKenzie Scott? Actress Mia Farrow posted as photos of the Venice wedding circulated. Other celebrities piled on. The public verdict was clear. The wrong Bezos was getting the praise. One detail from the wedding was particularly telling. Jeff and Lauren signed an ironclad prenuptial agreement before the ceremony. Lauren is reportedly guaranteed approximately $60 million if the marriage ends. $60 million! That's what Jeff Bezos thinks this relationship is worth. That's the ceiling on his commitment. He learned one lesson from his divorce. It cost him $38 billion. And that lesson was to protect his money, not his marriage. 6 years after those text messages were published, the contrast between Jeff Bezos and MacKenzie Scott couldn't be starker. Look at the giving. Jeff Bezos, with a fortune exceeding $200 billion, has donated roughly $4 billion in his lifetime. Sounds like a lot until you do the math. Less than 2% of his wealth. MacKenzie Scott, with a fraction of his fortune, has given away $26 billion, more than 70% of what she received in the divorce. She's given away more than she got. He's given away less than a rounding error. Look at the promises. When Warren Buffett and Bill Gates created the Giving Pledge, asking billionaires to commit to giving away the majority of their wealth, MacKenzie signed immediately, made the promise, kept it. Jeff Bezos has never signed. The second richest man on the planet won't commit to giving away most of his money. Look at the headlines. When MacKenzie makes news, it's for donating hundreds of millions to food banks, HBCUs, or affordable housing nonprofits. Organizations call her a saint. Newspapers call her the most generous philanthropist of her generation. When Jeff makes news, it's for his $500 million yacht, his $175 million mansion, his $50 million wedding, where his bride wore 27 different outfits. She's trying to empty her safe. He's trying to fill his yacht. And look at what people say when they compare them. During Jeff's Venice wedding, while celebrities toasted the happy couple inside, social media celebrated MacKenzie instead. How awesome is MacKenzie Scott? Mia Farrow posted. Commentators pointed out the grotesque contrast. The court of public opinion rendered its verdict. The woman who was betrayed is now more admired than the man who betrayed her. The woman who took less than she deserved is now praised for giving more than anyone expected. The woman who stayed silent about her ex-husband's failures speaks louder through her actions than any bitter interview ever could. That's the scoreboard. That's the karma. And it's not even close. So what does this story actually prove? Some people hear about the Bezos divorce and think $38 billion. That's the cost of cheating. That's the price Jeff paid. But that's not really true, is it? Jeff Bezos is still worth over $200 billion. Still has his yacht, his mansions, his private jets, his space company, married the woman he cheated with, threw a $50 million wedding. By any financial measure, he's fine. The real price he paid isn't measured in money. It's measured in what people think of when they hear his name. Before 2019, Jeff Bezos was the genius who built Amazon, the visionary who changed how the world shops, the entrepreneur who went from a garage to a trillion-dollar empire. Now, he's also the man who cheated on the wife who drove the car, the billionaire who betrayed 25 years of loyalty, the guy whose ex-wife gives away more money than he does while he buys another yacht. That reputation will follow him forever. No amount of money can buy it back. And MacKenzie? She could have spent the rest of her life being known as the woman Jeff Bezos cheated on, the victim, the discarded wife. Instead, she made a choice, decided that what happened to her wouldn't define her. What she did next would. $26 billion to people who needed it. Thousands of organizations transformed, millions of lives changed. A legacy built not on what was taken from her, but on what she gave away. That's not revenge. It's something better. It's proof that the best response to betrayal isn't bitterness, it's becoming someone the person who hurt you could never be. Jeff Bezos made a choice in 2018. He chose Lauren Sanchez over MacKenzie, chose an 8-month affair over a 25-year marriage, chose his desires over his family. MacKenzie made a different choice, chose dignity over revenge, chose generosity over bitterness, chose to become someone the man who betrayed her could never be. 2 choices, 2 paths. 2 very different endings. Here's how the story concludes. In 1994, a young woman sat in a car, watching her husband type a business plan as she drove them across America toward an uncertain future. She believed in him when no one else did. Packed boxes in a garage when they had nothing, balanced books and shipped orders, and sacrificed her own dreams so that his could become real. And over the next 25 years, she stood by his side as he became the richest man in the history of the world. Her reward? Secret hotel rooms, text messages to another woman, an 8-month affair conducted behind her back with a television anchor her husband had been introduced to by that woman's own husband. When the texts leaked, when the scandal broke, when her private humiliation became public spectacle, MacKenzie Scott could have sought revenge. She had every right, every legal means, could have taken half of everything and spent the rest of her life reminding the world what Jeff Bezos had done to her. She didn't. Instead, she took less than she deserved, said grateful for the past when she had every reason to be bitter, changed her name back to Scott, and then did something remarkable. She gave it all away, not to spite Jeff, not to prove a point, not for the publicity or the praise. She gave because she believed she had a disproportionate amount of money and other people needed it more. $26.3 billion, more than 2,700 organizations, HBCUs and food banks and homeless shelters and climate groups and racial justice organizations. Billions of dollars flowing to people who never expected help, with no strings attached from a woman who never asked for credit. Jeff Bezos, meanwhile, threw a $50 million wedding in Venice, bought a $500 million yacht, stepped down from his company, moved to Miami for tax purposes, and became famous for everything except generosity. He learned one lesson from his divorce: make Lauren Sanchez sign a prenup. The lesson about loyalty, about character, about what really matters in life, that one doesn't seem to have landed. The world watched both of them. The world compared them. And the world chose MacKenzie. When Jeff makes headlines for his wealth, commentators point out how little he's given away compared to the woman he betrayed. When people think of the Bezos divorce, they don't remember Jeff's success. They remember MacKenzie's grace. That's the karma, not supernatural justice. Something simpler, something more human. When you betray someone who gave you everything, you lose something money can't replace. When you face devastation with dignity, you gain something headlines can't diminish. MacKenzie Scott drove a car across America so her husband could build a business. 30 years later, she's driven billions of dollars toward people who need it. Jeff Bezos built the everything store. He forgot that everything includes character. The woman he betrayed became the person he could never be. That's the story of Jeff Bezos' $38 billion mistake. So what happened to everyone else? Michael Sanchez, the brother who sold his sister's secrets for $200,000, remains estranged from Lauren. Not invited to the Venice wedding. Won't be at any family gatherings. Traded his relationship with his sister for tabloid money. Bad trade. The Saudi Arabia investigation? Never resolved. The FBI couldn't prove anything. Some mysteries don't get solved. David Pecker and the National Enquirer? Never charged with extortion. The tabloid was eventually sold. They walked away. Lauren Sanchez is now Lauren Sanchez Bezos. Got her billionaire. Got her Venice wedding. Got her ironclad prenup guaranteeing $60 million if it doesn't work out. Time will tell if that prenup gets used. And MacKenzie Scott? She's still giving. As of December 2025, her donations total $26.3 billion. She says she'll keep giving until the safe is empty. At the rate she's going, that promise might actually come true. She doesn't give interviews, doesn't seek attention, doesn't talk about her ex-husband, just keeps writing checks to food banks and schools and housing organizations and health clinics. Quietly, relentlessly, generously. The woman Jeff Bezos betrayed has become one of the most admired people in America. And that's the story. If you believe karma is real, hit that subscribe button. Tell me in the comments, whose story should I cover next? What scandal deserves the full investigation? What betrayal has a lesson the world needs to hear? And if this story reminded you that good people sometimes win, share it with someone who needs to hear that today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.